Radio 4 of the Zama National Broadcasting Corporation. Good morning and welcome to the Ndalama Insights Business Show. I'm your host, Leslie Nyambo, here today. I'm Konkim Konkela, a financial expert who has consistently enlightened us about various financial topics. And today we'll be shedding light on the power of compound interest and how it can make our money work for us. That is today's topic, the power of compound interest, making money work for you. I'm Konki, good morning, and it's a pleasure having you on the show.
Good morning, Leslie. How are you?
Okay, what's good morning?
I was rushing. Pardon? Can you hear me? Can you?
I think your mic should be switched off. But good morning.
Is it switched off?
Welcome
You?
to the show. This is, of course,
Oh, let's
Ndalama
see.
Insights.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear
Oh, I know how to operate microphones.
you. Sometimes we slack a bit on the technical side.
Not a problem.
It's not a problem.
How's the morning?
Morning is good. And how are you?
For me, it's been a rush.
I can imagine. And with this cold, I think everyone is enjoying their sleep just a little bit more.
Just a little bit. And even you can tell from my voice, I'm actually down with the cold.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But we're here, nonetheless, and we're going to make it work. And today we're talking about the power of compound interest, basically making money work for you. Now let's dive in and explore the power of compound interest, helping our listeners understand how it can benefit them. Konki, could you start by explaining what compound interest is?
Thank you, Leslie. So, compound interest, maybe let's start with simple interest. When you go and invest your money, maybe you save your money at the bank in a savings account or a fixed deposit account, you earn what is referred to as interest. Okay, so I'll start with the bank before I go to other investments because the bank is easier to understand. So when you save money in a savings account or a fixed deposit account, you earn interest. Now, if the bank gives you, if you leave that interest if you don't use up that interest or withdraw the interest and reinvest that interest is going to be earning more interest. So it's like interest on top of interest. For simple interest, that's compound interest. So simple interest is where you are just getting interest on your principal amount. So the initial amount that you had invested could be, let's say, 1,000 kwacha. So simple interest is you are earning interest just on that 1,000 kwacha. All the time you are given interest, you are earning interest on 1,000 kwacha. That's simple interest. Compound interest is when you earn interest on interest. So for example, if you make a 10% interest on your 1,000 kwacha, that is about 100 kwacha, right? So next month, if you get your interest monthly, you'll be getting interest on 1,100 kwacha, and so on. So that is compound interest. And compound interest is actually, a very powerful concept, which I'm hoping that by the end of this program, our listeners are going to grasp, because the longer you can keep money, reinvest money, and it earns interest on interest, the more powerful the concept of compound interest actually is. So it plays with time and how much you keep and how much interest you get on your investment. That is what compound interest is.
Now, that's a valuable distinction, basically, between compound and simple interest. Now, let's explore how compound interest works in practical terms. Can you provide our listeners with an example of compound interest in action?
Oh, yes, I think I touched on this. So if you look at simple interest, you earn interest on the initial principal amount. However, with compound interest, you earn interest on both the principal and the interest that has already been earned. So the compounding effect is actually both on your principal as well as your interest. Leslie, that's where the power is. And that is the key distinction between compounding and simple interest.
Now, compound interest can basically multiply your money over time, from what we understand. But let's talk a bit about how often compound interest is typically compounded.
Good question. That all depends on your investment, where you've invested your amount. If, let's say, it's a bank, you've saved money at a bank, you need to find out, for example, a savings account. I have a savings account with a bank, and when I was opening this savings account, I asked them, how much interest rate am I going to be getting from this account? They told me 6%. And then I asked them, how frequently will I be getting that interest? They said you'll be getting it semi-annually, meaning 2 times a year. So how frequently you get your interest compounded depends on the financial institution, if you're talking about savings or fixed deposit accounts. So you need to find out from your bank how frequently they will give you that interest on your fixed deposit or your savings account. For mine, they told me it's semi-annually. And it's a recent savings account, by the way. So I will tell you the result. I'm monitoring these things. So 6% they told me it's semi-annually. I will give you feedback. And so it differs with the financial institution. Others do it annually. So they might say, we'll give you 5% and compounded every year. If you are lucky, you can get a monthly compounding. So the more frequently your interest is compounded, the better for you, because it means that you'll be making more interest on top of the interest frequently. So it all depends on the financial institution, which is why I always encourage my listeners, my subscribers to my YouTube channel, to shop around. Don't be loyal to one financial institution. You don't know what the others are offering. So shop around, because even just the 1% will make a huge distinction. Because as I'm going to be talking about very soon, compound interest is very powerful. But if you consider other factors like inflation, and if you look at the real rate of return or real interest rate by considering inflation, it actually devalues the power of compound interest. However, the power is still there. We just need to know how to utilize it, and we need to be much more aware so that we shop around and work with financial institutions that are really taking care of our wealth.
Okay. All right. Well, we're talking about the power of compound interest today, making money work for you. And of course, with me in the studio is a financial expert, Mokonki Mokonkela. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
You are still listening to the Dalama Insights Business Show, brought to you by Insight Partners Africa. Leave your comment or question on Mukonki's YouTube channel. The Dalama Insights, turning your challenges into actionable insights.
That's right, Ndalama Insights, and today we're looking at the power of compound interest, making money work for you. And with me in the studio is Mokonki Mokonkela. We've looked at the issue of compound interest and, of course, the different intervals it can be done. Now let's discuss how our listeners can take advantage of compound interest, basically to make their money work for them. How can one ensure that their current savings and investment accounts benefit from compound interest?
So for those of us that have already started saving and investing, we need to ensure that we keep our return on that investment back. We keep it. We don't withdraw it. For example, if you are investing in government bonds and you get coupon incomes every after 6 months, rather than using or eating up that coupon income, reinvest it again in another bond the following month. That is how you're going to start benefiting from the power of compound interest. For those of us that have fixed deposit accounts and savings account, we need to be very disciplined to ensure that we don't withdraw the interest earned on that account. So keep the money in the account. But this is for the younger ones, those that are still very young, in your 20s. If you are listening to me right now, you are in your early 20s, this is the right time for you to actually utilize the power of compound interest, because compound interest works with time. You will not see the results right now. The 100 kwacha example that I'd given earlier might seem very little right now, but if you start compounding it across a 5-year, a 10-year period, you'll find that that 100 kwacha will end up maybe in millions of kwachas. So for young people, this is the right time for you to start saving money and investing it and not touching it. Consider it a long-term investment. And even for parents with kids, if we've got kids, this is the right time for us to start setting aside money for our kids, so that when they reach that age 18, they've got somewhere to start with. They are the ones who are actually going to see the power of compound interest, because compound interest works with time. So it is about keeping money saved for a long time. Don't touch that money. Reinvest the interest. Don't say, I've earned interest, now I can eat this interest. Let the interest go back so that it can make more money for you. That's why we say the power of compound interest, making money work for you. Because when you reinvest that interest, you're going to be earning interest on top of the interest. And the longer you do that, the more you're actually going to see the power of this compound interest. Leslie, have you ever heard of what's the 8th wonder of the world? Never heard of it. So it's been said that Albert Einstein, there's an argument whether he really said this or not, but it's been said that Albert Einstein coined the phrase compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Now, if somebody actually said, yeah, can you imagine? Look at the Victoria Falls. At some time, we used to say it's one of the seventh wonder of the world, right? Just look at how magnificent the Victoria Falls is. And then somebody is comparing that compound interest to the Victoria Falls. I would want to know why. And I would really want to find out. And the power really lies in interest on top of interest and keeping it long. The longer you keep the money in your account, in your savings, in your investments, the power you get from compound interest. So for you, if you're a young person right now, start keeping money aside. You will be marveled by the time you'll be getting to 5 or 10 years from now.
This is, I think, a typical example that everyone understands at the moment would be NAPSA partial withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
When you're withdrawing your money, if you've been with NAPSA for the past 30 years or so, or 20 years or so,
mm-hmm.
you find what you're withdrawing, even if you've got less, contributions over the number of years,
mm-hmm.
what you're withdrawing becomes very high.
Yes.
And they'll tell you, no, it's because, it's been compounded over time.
Thank you for that. That's a brilliant example. Those of us that have gone to NAPSA to do the partial withdrawal, we might have been expecting a lesser amount, only to find out that we're actually being given more than we had expected. That is compound interest. That is money that's been reinvested and has earned a return on top of the interest that was saved for you.
Now let's discuss a common concern. Can compound interest ever work against us?
Good question, Leslie. I mean, so many times we talk about compound interest and how marvelous it is. I gave an example of the Victoria Falls, right? Victoria Falls is beautiful. I love the Victoria Falls, and I'd love to go there at least once a year if I can. I haven't been there since, I think this year I haven't been there, but I hope I can go there sometime this year. Now, listen, if you go to the edge of the Victoria Falls, you will fall in the falls, right? So compound interest is a double-edged sword. If you've got a loan with a bank and you're not repaying that loan, and it's a long-term loan, that's why you should be careful when banks are telling you we're extending your tenure of the loan, because the same principle applies. Your loan will become bigger. Okay, so it's a double-edged sword. It's good if it's a saving, if you've saved money and you're earning interest on that saving. It's bad if it's a loan, if you've got a loan with somebody and you need to pay them interest, because it's them that are now getting the power of compound interest. You understand? So it becomes a double-edged sword. For you who's in debt, you who's the borrower, you are the one that is going to now, your loan or your debt is going to increase because you're not repaying back. Okay, this is when you are not repaying back the loan. So every time you miss that repayment, your interest goes up. And that is also the power of compound interest adversely affecting you. You get it, Leslie?
So double-edged sword, in other words. So if you have a loan, just be careful with it.
Just be careful with it, because this power of compound interest we are talking about, that's what the financial institutions use on you. When they give you the loan, they are the ones benefiting from the power of compound interest.
So ideally, you want to be in a position where you are benefiting.
That's the key thing. We want you to be the one benefiting, meaning that you should be able to earn interest. So save the money, fixed deposit savings, maybe invest in a treasury bill or government bond, but you should be the one to earn the interest, not you giving somebody else, because it's the other person that will be getting the power of compound interest.
Now we're running out of time, unfortunately. But before we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts or actionable insights to leave our audience with today?
Yes, Leslie, I would like to encourage my viewers on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. And also listeners that are listening, start early. If you are young, you're 20, this is the best time for you right now. Start right now. You might not understand some of these things, but let me tell you, a few years from now, everything is going to fall into place. You're going to really understand. For those of us that are a little bit older, we just need to be financially disciplined, start looking at investments that earn us real returns. And Leslie, let me also just touch on inflation quickly, because inflation can affect the power of compound interest. So whenever you're looking at investments to invest in in which you are going to utilize the power of compound interest, look at the real rate of return. The real rate of return or real rate of interest, or the real interest rate, considers inflation. So for example, if the bank tells you we'll be giving you 6% and inflation right now is at 10%, it means you're already at a negative of 4%, and that really derails or affects the power of compound interest. So in that case, you need to look at investments that are able to earn you more than at least the inflation rate, 10% and plus. That is the only way you're able to benefit from the power of compound interest. So I would like to end with that.
Right, now, thank you for joining us today and providing valuable insights into the power of compound interest. We appreciate your presence here.
Thank you so much. And Jack Banda, I can see your message. Thank you. Bye.
All right, and that concludes today's episode of the Dalama Insights Business Show. Thank you for tuning in. Join us again next time as we continue to explore the world of